We're out here at W.O.F.T today, and we're going to be building on the last video that we did talking about retention shooting, but this time we're going to be adding space and distance to it. A lot of people talk about creating space, but why is that so important? In the last video we talked about retention shooting and when we're stuck in a close confined situation where we have to deploy our handgun for self-defense in a tight retention area, but we want to avoid that if possible. And creating space is going to allow you to do a couple of things. When you add space, it gives you time to react, time to de-escalate, time to think about different options, time to communicate, and it just gives you other opportunities to figure out a new solution. Now, if we do have to take shots in this self-defense situation, creating space and shooting from retention can be combined into one drill. Ideally, if we can create space and then de-escalate the situation without having to take a shot, that is our go-to every single time. However, the drill that we're going to be talking about today is using the firearm to help us create space while moving to a covered position. Now, as we discussed in our last video, most of your gunfights and self-defense situations are in a very confined space. That could be anywhere from 0 to 15 feet. Now, that being said, we want to get outside of that confined space and try to get to a position of concealment or cover where we can be a little bit more tactically advantaged than our bad guy. So how do we do that? Now, just like in our last video, we're going to start the situation in a confined space, but we want to get out of that as soon as possible. So one of the key points that I want you to make sure that you're focusing on is maintaining balance and situational awareness of the environment around you. So we have a couple of barrels here that are going to represent our concealment or our cover, which may be a building, a wall, a vehicle, whatever the case may be in your environment. I want you to be aware of what's around you at all times. So we're going to start this whole thing right here at contact distance. This is where somebody is attacking you, they're on top of you, things are going really badly for you on that day. Now, if we can shove back, create that distance, and use our communication skills or other handheld tools, whether that's pepper spray, a flashlight, whatever the case may be, that way we don't have to go to our firearms. That is obviously ideal. However, if we are in a situation that it is time to bring the gun out, where a life and death situation is occurring, then we want to be able to do so effectively, safely, and make sure we're getting accurate shots on target. So let's go ahead and dive back into the retention shooting and build on that by creating space. The first thing we want to do is, again, we have our hands up, we're creating that barrier to any blows or strikes that are coming in, and creating that space here. Again, like we talked about last time, we're shifting our hips back, we're creating a good balanced position, we're getting good accurate shots from this position here, but we also want to start moving backwards as soon as possible. Now, if somebody's got you wrapped up in a bear hug, that could be a problem, but the firearm can be an equalizer. It can create that distance for you. So the scenario is somebody's coming in here, they're attacking you. We've created some space here by forcing our hands up. We've gotten the gun out, we're rotating up into here. We've got the gun in our rib cage, rotated so we've got the slide clear. We can take multiple shots here to force that bad guy away from you. And then we want to start moving backwards, build ourselves up into a good grip, get accurate shots on target while moving into a covered position. Now, these are some of the drills that we do in some of the more advanced classes out here at W.O.F.T in the scenario training. And you get to apply it in the low light and in the blade room and all of the other hand-to-hand stuff that we get to do out here, which is just awesome. But we're going to go ahead and run this whole drill. I'm going to do it step by step first. We're going to do it live and see what that looks like with actual shots fired. So the first thing we're going to do, hands go up, I clear that garment again, rotate that pistol, we create a couple of shots, create distance here, we can stay up, and we want to get offline into a position of cover or concealment. A couple of considerations that I want you to keep in mind. Number one, stay balanced. If as you're creating distance, you trip over yourself, fall down, you've now put yourself into a much worse position than you would have been if you were just in contact with the bad guy. Number two is, I want you getting offline. So what I mean by that is if I just simply move straight backwards from this bad guy, we're not actually changing the visual reference that he has on us. Yes, we're creating some distance, and that's a good thing. However, we want to change the actual lateral movement that he's looking at. So if I'm staring at you in the camera and you just move straight backwards, nothing actually changes with my point of view. If you move side to side, now I'm having to shift my gun if he's got a gun or a weapon or a trajectory. Think of it as a bullfight, right? If you have a bull coming at you and you just run straight backwards, you're gonna get plowed down. But if you can start stepping off to the side, what that allows you to do is create an angle that helps you defeat the whole focus of the bad guy. And that's the goal here. So again, we're gonna go ahead and do that at full speed now. I'm gonna put it on the timer and we're gonna work our way all the way around behind cover, working our shot pattern and making sure we're getting accurate shots both from retention and at full presentation. Stand by. All right, so as you can see there, we created the distance. I worked my shots from that lower pelvic girdle area where we talked about in the last video what we want to be shooting from retention, because that gives us the downward angle. As I pushed back and I gained to a full presentation, I was able to work my shots up into the center chest area. And if that's not working, of course, we can work up into the head box. We got effective rounds on target as we shifted around our situational environment, stuff going on here, our cover concealment, and then we were able to get offline there. So those are the main things I want you to take away from this drill. Work some distance, create time for you. It's a little time hack. Get yourself offline so you're able to shift their focus from just being downrange, and also maintain your balance and get accurate shots the entire time. So I hope you guys enjoyed that knowledge nugget. Stay tuned for the next one, because we're gonna be diving into even more detail of what we need to do here if we have multiple attackers. And if you wanna get the top of the line scenario training, come out to W.O.F.T. And if you wanna shoot the most awesome gun in the world, check out a Atlas Gunworks pistol.